So today's video is about just simple ideas of how to talk in English, and yesterday I watched this interesting video when I don't know, maybe English teacher gave the advice how to gave some tips how to improve your spoken language, and one of the tips was to learn words kind of in associations. The way when you think about some particular word, verb or noun, you can think about a set of collocations or phrases for this particular word. So it's kind of, you need to learn not just the word, the way you translate it from English to your native language while reading some book or listening to some, let's say, audio program, but you need to learn the word in its environment. Let's say a car, to drive a car, a bus, take on a bus, take off the bus, go by bus, the bus stopped at the bus stop, the car runs at the speed of 50 miles per hour, and other stuff, because when you speak in a real conversation, there is no time for you to search for some particular word that you want to say, but you don't know the translation of this word in English. And to make this fluent connection between words, you need to learn the words in some connections to each other. And this woman gave the example for some random phrase like, how can you do this? Okay, this was the first tip, and the second tip was about giving some definitions to the words that you want to tell, but to say, but you don't know them in English. And with these two tips, the first one about learning the words in phrases, and the second one is giving the definitions to the words you don't know how to say in English. She gave an example for some random phrase like, what do you see when you look in the sky? And she talked about when she looked in the sky, she saw a beautiful, clean blue sky with the clouds flying, running over it, and she sees different shapes in these skies. Sometimes she might see a child, she might see an animal, she might see even, I don't know, some imaginary creature like a dragon or something. And I think the question was, do you like to look at the sky? So first she rephrased the question. She said, yes, I like to look at the sky. And then she gave the explanation. I like to look at this blue, let's say, transparent, deep, wonderful sky with the white clouds running over it, because, and then she started to enumerate the different shapes that she could see in the sky, like the child, she could see a dragon, she could see maybe the animals she liked, like the quail, for example. But the interesting part in this example for me was that when I heard this question, what do you like to see the sky? My first association with the sky was about the night sky, with the stars, and even with those skies that I watched on TV, the sky that is about the universe, the cosmos, not just the Earth sky that is obscured by the atmosphere and the clouds, but the sky that we can watch from the moon, from the Pluto, or even if we imagine it from the point of view of Voyager, that device that travels somewhere in the universe right now, and that was pushed into this flight, I think in 1960s or something like that. And it was interesting for me because we really have different associations. Well, if I had some time to collect some information on this sky thing, I could run through different books, through different articles on internet, and then I could find several points of view, like night sky, daylight, daytime sky, maybe a rainbow, birds flying in the sky, and other stuff. But the first association, when I need to tell something very quick, is very, let's say, restricted. It links to our experience of life, and for me the night sky is more about astronomy and these planets and stars. So my first association, my first reaction to this question would be like, well, first of all, I remembered the small episode from The Big Bang Theory, one of my favorite TV series, and this episode was particular about the moment when Penny wanted to impress Leonard by learning some physics, and she came to Sheldon and asked him to teach her some physics, and he started with this wonderful image. He said to her to imagine her being in ancient Greece, and she, as one of these ancient Greek guys, looks at the sky, or looked at the sky, and she saw this star flying across the sky. And she looked at the night sky. She saw all these stars and all these bright points in the sky, and suddenly she saw that running or falling star in the sky, and she started to wonder, what is it? And then the human mind started to discover different things about the universe, like, well, let's go to the contemporary knowledge, and now when we look at the sky, we know that those stars are just huge. Those bright points are the stars, and they are somewhere million or just thousands light years away from the Earth, and the light from these stars reaches the Earth at some point, and we see the light from these stars, and we see the stars, but it took the light maybe millions of years to cross this distance, yeah, from the star to our eyes. So when we see the stars in the night sky, they are in the position that they were millions of years ago, because maybe now at this point in time, at this moment in time, these stars already died, and we just see the stars they were millions of years ago when the light was emitted by these stars. And that's really cool, because this is the way we see the past. Literally, we see the past, so long past in the history of the universe. And when we look at the night sky, we don't see it because we are in the city, and the lights from the city prevent us from seeing all the stars, and the clouds, the atmosphere prevents us from seeing all the possible stars in the night sky. But we know that we see the Milky Way, which is our galaxy, and this galaxy consists of two spiral arms, and this galaxy looks like a giant disk, and our Earth is somewhere at the half of the radius of this giant disk from the center. So actually there is nothing special about the Earth to be the center of the universe, as we were told in Bible. And it's really possible that there are other Earths around our Milky Way galaxy, where people exist too, and they can think that they are the only humans in the world, the same way we think about it. But anyway, this is really cool when we think about it. And I like the media, the TV shows, because they helps us to imagine the stuff, because it's kind of difficult to imagine the sky from the perspective of some planets like Mars or Pluto. But there is an interesting scene in the Star Wars 5 after the moment Luke Skywalker met Yoda for the first time, and in the end of this particular movie, they are the remaining heroes of this movie are on their spaceship, and this spaceship kind of stays out of the boundaries of this galaxy, and they look at our Milky Way galaxy from the window of the spaceship. And if it was possible, it could be so cool to see this scenery, to see this picture. You know, I heard once the acquaintance of mine said that his friend went to work and live in New Zealand, and he spent his evenings drinking the wine from some glass and watching at the sunset over the Pacific Ocean. And that's really cool, comparing to, let's say, us spending our evenings watching the TV and no, and like the sun sets behind the new buildings of Minsk Mir or something like that, and this the same way watching the the Milky Way in through the window of the spaceship would be a very cool way to spend the evening. Yeah, to spend the evening. And another interesting idea from the Harry Potter and Rational Methods. This is the fanfic for Harry Potter series, and at some point the guy, this teacher Quirrell, I think, he showed Harry Potter the image of the night sky with lots of stars, and this image was never seen from any Earth devices or telescopes. And later we discover that this Quirrell was the embodiment, maybe, of Voldemort. And at the point when Voldemort created his Horcruxes, and when he put them in the places that can't be reached by the mages to destroy them, one of the Horcruxes was put into the volcano, so it was invincible for the high temperatures, but no man can reach it in the center of this volcano. Yeah, and the next, the other Horcrux was put into the Voyager when the Voyager was set on his journey to travel across the solar system, and now the Voyager flies somewhere beyond the boundary of the solar system. So Voldemort was able to move kind of his soul from one Horcrux to the other and observe from the point of view of this Horcrux the environment. And there was not much to see for the Horcrux that is inside the volcano, but it's really a cool experience to watch from the perspective of the Horcrux that is inside this Voyager, because Voyager flies somewhere beyond beyond Pluto, and the stars at that point are so unique and so, I think, dense, and this is so cool experience. And Voldemort had this experience in this fanfic book, and he showed Harry Potter this stuff. And yeah, the way the author described this idea, it was really very cool, and I would really like to experience this kind of vision, but not just once, but on regular terms, like let's say once a week on the weekends. That would be really cool. Anyway, this is the other way to explain what I see, what I would like to see when I watch, when I look at the sky. And of course, there are more realistic and scientific ways to explain this stuff. Like, I can watch the moon, and it's kind of interesting to think that the moon is really far away from the Earth, and it's really big. And try to imagine myself looking from the moon to Earth, and due to the astronauts that reached the moon and they made the photos of the Earth from the moon, we can imagine this experience. And in anime One Punch Man, at some point when Saitama fought against some really strong alien, this alien hit Saitama, and he flew all the way from the Earth and hit the moon. And at some short moment, he kind of stand up from the place where he hit the moon and looked around himself, looked at the Earth from the perspective of the moon, and then he just jumped from the moon and reached the Earth, because this is the anime about superheroes and superpower. But this moment when he watched the Earth from the perspective of the moon, that was really cool. And there is an interesting thing about the moon from the perspective of Japanese mythology. When we look at the moon, we see some, let's say, faces or some pictures, because the craters on the moon gave some shadows, and this is what we see with our naked eye or with the telescopes. But the Japanese people were more creative with this stuff, and somehow they saw the rabbit on the moon, and I don't know, I read some descriptions of this type of the imagination, like this rabbit do something on the moon. I don't know exactly what, because I can't imagine this. I couldn't imagine this, and I never saw some fan picture depicting this kind of imaginary scene on the moon. But this idea was used in the famous anime series Sailor Moon, because the main girl, Usagi Tsukino, she represented the Moonlight Princess, and I don't know, this princess lived on moon or something like that, and then the evil sorcerers from the Dark Kingdom or something, they destroyed her palace and her city on the moon, and this Moonlight Princess lost her memory, and she kind of was reborn as this Earth girl Usagi Tsukino, and then this girl started to get her memory back, and the idea was that Usagi is the Japanese word for the rabbit, and the Japanese people see the rabbit on the moon, so Usagi meant the rabbit, and the rabbit was on the moon, and Usagi was the alter ego of the Moonlight Princess who lived on the moon some time ago. And Usagi Tsukino has these two long, I don't know, bunches of her hair, not just the hairstyle of other guardians like Amy, who had short hair, or Rei, who had just long hair or lying over her back and shoulders. But Usagi had these two, I don't know, bunches of hair that goes like two ponytails going out of her head with, well, it's better to see this type of hair of haircut, but anyway, her hair is quite long. I think it's longer than her waist maybe, and this is the type of image that the rabbit has with its long ears. Yeah, these two bunches of hair represent the ears of the rabbit, and this is the type of rabbit the Japanese people watch on the moon. So this is an interesting analogy, an interesting fact, because Russian people never and American people never see anything like that on the moon. And of course, more realistic stuff about the night sky are the planets. Not all the bright dots on the night sky are the stars. Some of them are just planets, and one of the most bright dots is Venus, one of the closest planets to us. And maybe we can see with the naked eye or from the telescope some other planets like Mars, Jupiter, maybe Saturn, maybe Mercury. Yeah, and other bright falling stars. Oh, if we return back to the guy from ancient Greece, about Sheldon was talked about. So the shooting star in the sky was not really a star, it was a meteorite or something like that, the part of the rock that exists in the universe, in the cosmos, and this rock travels across the universe, and at some point it reached the Earth atmosphere, and the gravitational forces pulled this rock closer to the Earth, and when this rock reached the atmosphere, it started to experience friction against the air of the Earth, and at some point, because of this friction, the surface of this rock set on fire, and we see that this bright burning dot in the sky at the moment when this meteorite crosses our atmosphere. And usually these rocks are quite small, and when they reach the lower levels of atmosphere, all the material in them is burnt down, so nothing really falls on the heads of the citizens on the Earth. But sometimes meteorites or meteors, I don't know, are quite huge, and they can reach the Earth and give some damage. Like, I don't know, 5 or maybe 10 years ago, over Chelyabinsk in Russia, there was this huge meteor who was undetected by the astronomers, and it was observed only at the moment it almost reached the surface of the Earth. I don't remember whether it hit the Earth or it just exploded somewhere in the air, but it was kind of it made some damage, like destroyed some windows in the buildings in the radius of its activity, and other stuff, and people, and it was in the daylight, and some people who drove the car, they watched this burning bright object in the sky flying towards the Earth, and they even made a video with the video registrator, when they just recorded the events on the road, and this meteorite just went into the area where this video registrator recorded, and then these videos from different people were shown throughout around the world in different news, like in the USA, in Russia, and different people commented on this meteorite. So this is another more realistic object that we can see in the night sky, or maybe in the daylight sky, because this Chelyabinsk meteorite came to the Earth at I think at the noon or something like that. And another famous example is Tungus meteorite. This is the event that happened somewhere in 1905, I think, in the middle of Siberia, and there was some huge explosion, and then lots of trees around this area was damaged, and the ground in this area was damaged, and scientists think that this was a huge meteorite that crashed into the ground of the Earth. But some of the scientists believe that it wasn't a meteorite, because there was no any evidence of it, and there were no remains of this meteorite in the area, and they believe that it was something like the crash of UFO, aliens spaceship. And even in 1960s, in the novel Monday Begins on Saturday, Strugatsky, the brothers, they showed this theory of some alien spaceship that crashed on the Earth, but this alien spaceship lived in some reverse time paradigm. So what was the events in the row for the Earthmen? It was the events in the backward for the aliens, and for them yesterday was tomorrow, and tomorrow was yesterday. So that's why there was no remains of the alien spaceship on the Earth after this crash in Siberia, because when Earth people observed the place of this crash, the spaceship was still operational, and it flew somewhere in the universe, because of this paradigm. For us, the future is the future, and for these particular aliens, the future is the past. So it's kind of difficult to express, but Strugatsky brothers made a good job of expressing this stuff in simple words, and that's an interesting theory to know about. And another theory about this Tungus meteorite is that Nikola Tesla, who worked in New York and experimented with some electricity at that moment, he could create a huge, like, electric charge, electric sphere, and this sphere reached Siberia and created this damage. And this is a possible theory because there was nothing left after this huge electric charge, and that's understandable because electricity can't leave anything except for the damage around it, with the trees, with the ground. And there is some documented events or something that Nikola Tesla at that point went to the library in New York, and he explored the maps of Siberia. Maybe he wanted to find the place in Siberia where there were no people, there was just a forest, so that when he created this huge electric charge, there would be no casualties after this event. This is an interesting theory as well. Well, my own opinion is that I agree with Nikola Tesla's theory more than with the alien theory, and of course the Tungus meteorite theory is too simple but too flawed. It didn't explain all these flaws in the logic of having meteorite without any remains from it. And maybe the most famous meteorite in the world history, but I thought about it just after the Tungus meteorite, is that huge thing that hit the Earth, and that caused the death of all dinosaurs on the Earth. There is the theory that something huge from the universe hit the Earth, and the impact was so great that I don't know what happened. The atmosphere changed, or the something happened on the Earth, and this caused all the dinosaurs to die in a very short period of time. And it's a plausible explanation. It's a possible explanation, because it's difficult to explain why the dinosaurs who ruled over the Earth for millions of years, they just died at some point. Well, there is an interesting explanation for the alien theory. I don't know. Let's go with it. Let's say that the Earth was a good place to set some human race, to develop some, let's say, hybrid from different races, and this hybrid must obtain some particular properties. And these aliens, the aliens is just people with high level of technology who live somewhere around the Milky Way, or maybe in other different galaxies. So they just did something to the atmosphere of the Earth, and they killed all the dinosaurs, and then again the other species were born during the evolution on the Earth, like apes, and from the ape the the Cro-Magnon type of a man was born, let's say that. But then at some point these Cro-Magnons died, and a new type of a human, which was the ancient version of contemporary human, appeared. And lots of scientists have their doubts about how this predecessor of contemporary human can could win against all these Cro-Magnons, who were very strong, and they were more like animal than the current people. And the all ancient people have no technologies. They have the same types of weapons as the Cro-Magnons did, so they have no way of winning against this maybe less intelligent but much stronger race. And the official theory is that the Cro-Magnons kind of changed into contemporary humans through the evolution, but that's impossible, and some scientists try to prove that fact of impossibility of such changes through the evolution. And other scientists just say that at some point the Cro-Magnons were defeated by the ancient humans, and then these humans got the place of these Cro-Magnons, and they started to develop. Well, they didn't develop, they were already in the form we are now, but they developed the knowledge of technology and other stuff, and they created different civilizations. And the possible explanation for me is that these aliens, who are the people with of very high level of technology, first they cleared the earth of the dinosaurs, and then they cleared some particular niche in the earth ecosystem of the Cro-Magnons, and the ancient humans were set into this niche, and they started to develop. And then there is this theory that there were 4 different races put on Earth, like the red race, Indians in America, the white race in Europe, the yellow race in Asia, and the black race in Africa. And the idea of this huge experiment is just to combine all these races together as a result of evolution, and create some, let's say, perfect human that have some special ability of unknown powers. And this ability is important for these alien high technology humans. And the Earth is a big test laboratory where this experiment holds for the last maybe 10 or 15,000 years. The interesting moment that the red race was almost completely destroyed by the Americans, so by the white race, so there is no way to get the full mix of these 5 races. And another detail is that Chinese and even Indian races, they develop produce humans too quick, and that means that maybe at the environment where they lived somewhere in the universe, they had this enemy environment, that hostile environment, when they needed to create children too quickly to survive. But on the Earth there is no such hostile environment, so they just continue to reproduce, and they shift the balance of all the races in this big mix. Anyway, these are the series about the aliens, but they all logically connected to the idea of the night sky, of the universe itself, and of the mysteries of the universe, that maybe the humankind will discover at some point in maybe in 1,000 years from now, or maybe not. Anyway, this is the associations that came from my mind when I started to think about this stuff, of whether I like to see at the sky, and what I see when I look at the sky. So that's all for today.